Triple H just ended Jade Cargill's WWE career over a Tiffany Stratton beatdown that went too far. When the woman who looks like she was literally sculpted by the Greek gods themselves decides to use Tiffany Stratton as a human piñata on live television, you know someone in the back is going to have a serious problem with it. Well, that someone turned out to be Triple H, and folks, he just dropped the nuclear option on Jade Cargill in a move that nobody saw coming. If you want to stay updated on the wildest backstage drama and power moves in WWE, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because WWE Extreme is about to break down the most shocking ban of the year. Let me set the stage for you here, because what went down was absolutely unhinged. Jade Cargill, the 6-foot goddess of destruction who made her name by being undefeated and unstoppable in another promotion, apparently decided that her WWE run needed a serious attitude adjustment. And by attitude adjustment, I mean she turned Tiffany Stratton into a cautionary tale about what happens when you cross paths with someone who benches more than your entire family combined. We're talking about an assault so brutal that it made everyone watching at home uncomfortable. Multiple power bombs, vicious strikes that looked like they were meant to end careers, not start storylines, and a level of aggression that crossed the line from sports entertainment into something that looked genuinely dangerous. Tiffany Stratton, the bombshell blonde who has been on fire lately with her character work and in-ring improvement, got absolutely demolished in a way that made fans wonder if this was still part of the script or if security needed to intervene. Now here's where the story takes a turn that would make even the most experienced wrestling fans do a double take. Triple H, the man who has seen everything in this business, who has been part of some of the most violent and controversial angles in WWE history, looked at what Jade Cargill did and said, "That is it. You are done." The game, Mr. Sledgehammer himself, the guy who literally used to terrorize people with weapons and psychological warfare as his calling card, suddenly became the judge of what constitutes going too far. Let that sink in for a moment. Triple H, the man who once terrorized Mick Foley's family on television, who put careers in jeopardy for storyline heat, who built an empire on being the ultimate villain, just banned one of the most physically impressive specimens in WWE history because she took things beyond acceptable limits. It is like watching a retired mobster become a police commissioner and actually taking the job seriously. The ban came down with the speed and force of a Claymore kick. Triple H, operating in his role as WWE's chief content officer and basically the supreme ruler of everything you see on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, issued what insiders are calling an indefinite suspension without pay. Not a slap on the wrist, not a kayfabe punishment that leads to a match at the next premium live event, but a legitimate banishment that has Jade Cargill sitting at home wondering how her WWE dream turned into a nightmare faster than you can say Bret Hart in Montreal. This is the kind of punishment that sends shockwaves through the entire locker room because it establishes something very clear. Nobody is untouchable. Nobody is too valuable, and nobody gets to operate outside the rules that Triple H has established since taking over creative control. But let us dig deeper into why this situation is absolutely fascinating from multiple angles. Jade Cargill came to WWE with more hype than a Marvel movie premiere. She was the undefeated champion from another major promotion, the woman with the look that makes Vince McMahon's eyes turn into dollar signs, and the physical presence that suggested she could be the next big thing in women's wrestling. WWE invested serious money and television time into building her up. They put her in prominent positions, gave her victories over established stars, and positioned her as someone who could be a cornerstone of the women's division for years to come. So for Triple H to pull the trigger on a ban this severe means that whatever Jade did to Tiffany Stratton was not just bad, it was career-threatening, lawsuit-inducing, public relations nightmare level bad. You do not throw away that kind of investment unless the situation is absolutely catastrophic. Speaking of Tiffany Stratton, let us acknowledge something important here. Tiffany is not some rookie who just walked through the door yesterday. This woman has been putting in serious work, developing her character from a somewhat one-dimensional pretty girl into a legitimately entertaining performer with personality, charisma, and improving in-ring skills. She has been featured prominently on SmackDown, gotten over with the audience despite some initial skepticism, and was clearly being groomed for bigger things down the line. So when Jade Cargill targets her with this level of violence, it is not just an attack on a random wrestler. It is an assault on someone who represents the future of the women's division. From Triple H's perspective, protecting Tiffany Stratton means protecting an asset that WWE has invested time and resources into developing. You cannot build stars if people are afraid they're going to get legitimately injured in what should be a controlled environment. Now let us address the massive elephant doing a moonsault in the middle of the ring. Is this whole situation a work or a shoot? Because in the modern era of wrestling, where the lines between reality and storyline are blurred more than a Picasso painting, it is genuinely difficult to tell what is real anymore. Triple H has proven himself to be a master storyteller who understands that the best angles have elements of reality mixed with fiction. He knows that fans are smarter now, that we analyze everything, look for clues, and try to figure out what is genuine versus what is manufactured drama. So when he comes out and bans Jade Cargill with all the seriousness of a corporate executive handling a legitimate workplace incident, we have to wonder if this is the setup for the most elaborate return storyline in recent memory, or if Jade actually crossed lines that should never be crossed. Either way, the ambiguity itself creates incredible buzz, and buzz equals ratings, and ratings equal money. It is brilliant business, even if it makes our heads spin trying to figure out what is real. The implications of this ban are absolutely massive for multiple reasons. First, it establishes that Triple H's WWE operates under different rules than what we have seen in the past. There was a time when wrestlers could get away with almost anything as long as it generated attention and sold tickets. Attitude Era WWE was built on pushing boundaries and seeing how far things could go before someone said stop. But Triple H is clearly running a different operation now. He wants WWE to be seen as legitimate, professional, and safe for performers while still being exciting for fans. So when someone like Jade Cargill, regardless of how impressive she looks or how much potential she has, violates those standards, there have to be real consequences. It is about setting a precedent that protects everyone on the roster and maintains the culture that Triple H is trying to build. Second, this situation creates an absolutely nuclear storyline whenever Jade Cargill is allowed to return. Think about it from a booking perspective. You have the most physically dominant woman on the roster who has been banished for being too violent, too dangerous, too uncontrollable. When she eventually comes back, and you know she will, because wrestling always brings people back when the time is right, she returns as this mythical figure who was so destructive that even the boss had to intervene. That is money, folks. That is the kind of heat that you cannot manufacture through regular storylines. Every match she has after returning will carry this weight of danger, this sense that at any moment she might snap and cross the line again. It makes her unpredictable, which makes her must-see television. Triple H understands this psychology better than almost anyone in the business because he lived it as a performer. He knows how to create stars through adversity and controversy. Third, and perhaps most interesting, this puts Tiffany Stratton in an incredibly advantageous position moving forward. She is now the sympathetic victim of an unprovoked and excessively violent attack. In wrestling terms, that is pure gold for getting someone over with the audience. Fans will rally behind her, want to see her recover, and be invested in her eventual revenge when Jade Cargill returns. It is classic storytelling that has worked for decades because it taps into fundamental human emotions about justice, perseverance, and standing up to bullies. Tiffany could come out of this situation as a bigger star than she was going in, which might actually be part of Triple H's master plan all along. Use one person's punishment to elevate another person's career. That is efficient booking that serves multiple purposes simultaneously. The wrestling world is absolutely buzzing about this situation because it represents something larger than just one incident between two performers. It is about WWE's evolution under Triple H's leadership, about establishing standards and accountability, and about creating storylines that feel genuine even in an industry built on predetermined outcomes. Jade Cargill's ban might last weeks or months, but whenever she returns, It will be with the kind of anticipation that makes wrestling special. And WWE Extreme will be right here breaking down every development, every twist, and every shocking moment as this story continues to unfold. Thanks for watching WWE Extreme. We will see you in the next one.